new heroes come out, and then you end up retiring these heroes that you've been playing with for a season or two, and they get a little dusty, and they want to, they want to be back in the limelight and get some action. Like we've had Peaceful Haven before, but
you need a 20 that. It's not even 40.
Not even.
What are we doing here? What are we doing here? We weren't even playing full optimal, guys. What is it?
Oh my gosh. Free to play, low spenders should take maybe 2 seasons or more, especially free to play. It should be like 3 seasons to build up a hero to be battle worthy. Whether you're a free to play all the way up to Kraken, you need to find what makes you interested in the game.
As you can see, it's going to be an absolute jam-packed episode of Whale Insights for episode 7. Today's guest is going to give you all those tips and tricks that you absolutely love for those formations that you hold dear to your heart. But why today's episode, I think, was probably one of my favorites out of all of the episodes we've done so far is the fact that we talk about burnout, talking about the game not feeling like an chore anymore, and even setting up places for free-to-players and even spenders to maybe just go out and chill out and have a holiday and get away from the competitiveness that is in your current empire. This is not one you're going to want to miss. This is episode 7 of Whale Insights. Smash like, comment, and subscribe. Let's dive into today's episode. Welcome, guys, to episode 6 of the good old Whale Insights, and it's going to be a really good one because a long-time friend on their old friend list from one of the earlier ever, I think, mightiest empires Empire 64 fought on with Empire 37. We've got ShadowNights on the good old Whale Insights. It's going to be a full one. We're going to be talking about, obviously, the formation stuff as we've done on every episode. We're talking about some nice tips and tricks for everyone like we always do. But what's really cool thing is going to be talking about how ShadowNights wants to talk about things to do with the approach on making the game more friendly for players, not just like obviously making it friendly in rewards, but more on the social aspect and making sure it doesn't feel like a chore. So it's going to be a really good episode for everyone. So with that, Shadow, do you want to introduce yourself properly and let everyone know who you are?
Definitely. Greetings, allies and warriors. First, a huge thanks to MrSneakyy for having me on. I've been pretty much playing since it launched last year. Currently the top power in server 37. Last stellar season, I went a little bit crazy and ended up first in the individual rankings and took 3rd for Desolate Desert. I spend a lot of time when I'm not on the battlefield helping other players because there's a lot of players that need help, as MrSneakyy knows. And I enjoy kind of experimenting and finding new combinations for lineups that can help both whales, krakens, and free-to-play players. So I enjoy the game. I don't have any plans on quitting anytime soon, and glad to be here.
Hell yeah, dude. It's going to be a good one because formations is obviously the first topic that we all going to dive into. We are going to just showcase some, I would say, typical, maybe meta formation at the beginning, but as Shadow just said, he's going to showcase some spicy formations that he wanted to give some justification to. So do you want to go over to the first formation that you want to talk about, and we could maybe dissect down what the whole jazz is? Because obviously I think we've got the main man everyone loves, the season 4 powerhouse, Cyrus the Great. So why are we talking about Cyrus today, Shadow?
I have been Pike main since about season 2. He's just a beast. I just cleared 40 million power for him yesterday. So since like entering Stellar Season 7, I've been putting all my resources in the rings, focusing on Adornments, getting this lineup geared to break that mark that I just mentioned. Looking kind of back in time, around the beginning of September, this lineup was only about, and this was before they kind of recalibrated some of the power stuff, it was sitting around 31 million power, and that was with Boudica in the center position there. So kind of dissecting this a little bit, I have all of my Merc research done I have almost all of the new research facility stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
And Cyrus, right now I have testier mounts on him and Vlad just because of 10% valor
Yeah.
there.
How is it doing? How is that doing? Is it doing any good? Because I know Steve has the same, and he likes it, but he hasn't been able to test something else at the moment.
I mean, I've been playing around with some different mounts because I have, like, if you look over here, I have a bunch of really good mounts.
Yeah.
A lot of them have strategy stuff, so I was playing around with this over the last couple of days, and it having the additional might and the valor 10% makes a big difference on the punch that Cyrus is able to do. So all of my skills are starred all the way. This lineup is only missing armor star wise, like 4 more shards to be completely armor starred up.
Mm-hmm.
I started upgrading some of my gems to might 2s and like the second tier of the reds. And one thing I'm happy about is last season I got my first inky snow.
Nice little inky snow. So if you guys didn't realize, if you really look closely, there is the mythic horse there. The mythic horse. Jesus Christ. Now what an actual unicorn in disguise we've got there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with I was gonna ask this then. So how good is it worth it, the mythic push of the horse? I know it's a 1% drop, but is the increase of those attributes really what's making that horse better? Or is it just better just to keep one of those legendary horses? Because, you know, for most players, it's going to be so hard to get a mythic.
If you have enough legendary horses and you still have extra, I would start breeding them together to try to get the mystic horse. Because that's how I ended up. I usually do a lot of just horse whistles and trying to get as many horses as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Right now I have 62, and a lot of like the epic ones have like red skills on them. So I'm just waiting for things to match and then push them up into the legendary, and then hopefully get my second mystic horse once I have enough horses to breed together. It does make a huge difference. And I was playing around with this today and yesterday, trying to see, because none of these skills help me out at all.
Yeah.
Because they're all strategy-based skills. So I was playing around with some of these other like moonwashes that have healing skills. And just the fact that you have 21 might and 24 armor does way more than having 9 or 10% extra healing.
That's so interesting, isn't it, really? Because that is, if you think about it, the attributes are it's the baseline, right? Everything works off those attributes from the beginning. And that is like your Cyrus damage, your recovery, even in Mansa, your Vlad damage, right? Anything that your match does goes off your hero's might attribute. Then it's going to scale up with any of the bonuses that you might have. Then it's going to do, like in Cyrus's case, any multiplier on the defense it's ignoring, right? So it's really interesting that you say that, because I think many people right now, especially like listening in, are probably quite in awe like me, because I'm surprised at how much these attributes are really making a difference. Because when we did our initial test on servers and used basically the mounts at the same legendary, and then we had the traits on, we were noticing like a lot of the traits were making the difference. But that might have been because, again, as you said, you've got the might attribute with the might based trait to really like double up on the effectiveness of the horse. So my question to you then would be, are horses actually like a really big significant upgrade to, let's just say, like equal to a signet ring, or do you actually put them a little bit lower in power compared to something like a signet ring?
I would say a signet ring is more powerful.
Mhm.
But this is some icing on the cake, and it makes such a huge difference. Especially when you're like able to get further in the research, the animal research, and then as you start getting better adornments, I started this season like going hard on just adornments for this lineup. So I eliminated pretty much all of my extra adornments. I have a couple. I think I have one on Lubu, and every time I create a adornment that I don't want, I smash it right away because I'm looking to get all super traits on this one lineup. So I haven't been able to get the 1% secondary strike one yet.
Okay.
But I got 2 with the insight.
How good is Insight? How much are you liking Insight? Because so far from, I want to say Timmy, so big shout out to Timmy, another content creator doing some fantastic work right now. If you guys haven't checked it out, on the Adornments, so far from all the tests he's done, reduction is still king. Having some sort of reduction based, adornment is seeming to be king. So is Insight fulfilling that same role, or is it doing kind of, I wouldn't say average, but you know what I mean? Like, it's doing okay, as some people might say.
Well, look, let me go back to my, let's go back to Vlad, because I actually have the better one on Vlad.
Ooh,
Where is
okay.
he?
Yep.
Where
Is that
he?
up? That. Oh no, Vlad.
Vlad.
Oh, there.
There we go.
Okay.
So this is the first one I went extra hard on. So 11.26. I think it works nicely. And I'm going all attack adornments for my Pike Cyrus lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the reasons why I went so hard for the desert last round was so that I could get extra resources to just push this over the top.
Right. Okay. And
so I'm going all attack, and then I have 2 insights. I'll gradually upgrade the one for Mansa Musa once I have a little bit more resources, unless I get the secondary strike one for Cyrus. Big difference.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. And I'm guessing this is going to be, it's pretty good in effectiveness against most things that you find. I'm going to be honest. I feel like, even though people don't joke about it, but like, if you're a Mulan player, this must be absolutely dreadful to go against, because it's subsequent damage taken from that same skill type. And obviously, like, if we hit you with our weak spot attack, now you're taking 11% less damage from whenever our Star Chaser is about to hit you. And same with like Lubu, right? Lubu hits you with secondary strike skills, so both of his skills that he'd be dealing damage with is 10% less in effectiveness. Right. So it's technically like punishing the the single type users over, as we kind of seen in season 6, which maybe we could talk about right at the end with some of the new heroes coming, like William, about, kind of mid-maxing that. So, what with Insight then, just to kind of finish up on it, and I'll pass it back to you. Do you think it's going to be more effective in a 1v1 compared to something like Resistance, which does give you flat reduction for so many seconds? I think it's like 18 seconds for the initial of the fight. Or do you reckon this is going to win overall, because you're technically slowing down the Cyrus damage and you're slowing down Vlad's damage, which goes off technically a Cyrus, right?
Well, I mean, this lineup wants to be swarmed no matter what, and it always gets swarmed because I send this lineup out first. I think this will end up being better, because once I get the other Adornment up to legendary level, and right now I have 2 reduction rings on this lineup. So if you don't end up destroying it within the first 18 seconds, I'm unfortunately going to destroy your troop. Sorry, but not really sorry.
But it's so true though, right? So if you come out of here with the match, and I'm just kind of talk about one last thing, if you want to, before we move on to the other match. You did mention at the beginning, obviously, you had this around 31 million. and then you had Boudica instead of Vlad. For many people probably wondering as well in the comment section, because I know what people like, they'll ask this since you said it. What was the difference between Boudica and Vlad? Like, obviously, Vlad's going to do more damage, but for those maybe like lower spenders and those guys seeing a new warrior pikeman, which seems to happen nearly every season now, do they really need to chase for that Vlad over Boudica? Or if they've already got a Boudica, Mansa, Cyrus lineup, that's fine. Like, it's going to be competitive. It's going to do the work on the field. Like, what's your like thoughts on that?
Boudica is fine for the lower spenders, free-to-play players. There's no... I recommend getting the new heroes, at least unlocking them when you get them. It usually takes me 3 or 4 wheels because I slow grind getting the hero up to level, and I usually don't put them out on the battlefield until they're 5-starred anyway. So I get those first 2 or 3 chests, and I ended up finishing Vlad just before the last DD that we passed because I wanted him to be into that battle. I think I ended up doing like 900 rolls on the wheel or something like that just to finish him. I'm going to find another lineup to put Boudica in because the fact that she can kind of buff the commander, she's good, and she has plenty of like counter damage attacks. I still play around with Richard on occasion. Richard was the first pikeman long ago. Everyone doesn't use anymore, but he still has benefits. There's no need to chase. And one of the things we'll talk about later with the free to play is like, do you want to be a collector or do you want to be a fighter?
Yeah. That is a really good way to put it.
Make up your mind, because there's a lot of players that are just like,
yeah,
I'm going to get the new hero and then I'm going to get them to like 1 star and just put them in the lineup. That's why I'm eating you for breakfast.
I love it. I love it, honestly. Is there anything else you want to mention about the Cyrus match before we move on? Because obviously we've talked quite a bit about Cyrus. People are like, there's no way we can keep going, chat. I'm telling you, we can keep going. But is there anything else you do want to mention with Cyrus before we move on to the next like formation that you want to talk about?
So just a quick comment on the ring. So I have a level 30 here. I have a level 30 here. And then, like I said, I was focusing... I got 45. I ran out of resources. So hopefully by the end of this stellar season, I'll reach my first level 50 ring.
I do. Well, if you do, I will say already congratulations on that when you do early on. I like the fact that you're running the double, I would call it like the double support ring combo, right? This is kind of back in the olden days, but we'd always say you just put Tranquil Water with Lofty Mountain together and slap it because it's super cheap to get both rings, and then you've got the messenger there. Level 30, this is just one thing I wanted to know. Is that enough? Are you happy with just level? Obviously, in the future, you're going to probably push the rings up, but do you feel like level 30 for most players, let's say that aren't super spenders in the game, should be enough for that ring to be competitive for them? Because I feel like a lot of players see these rings and start seeing the bigger players with level 50 rings and so on, and they kind of like lose faith, you know?
If you're a free-to-play, you should only have 1 legendary ring. Mm-hmm. And you should have enough resources to get it to level 10 right from the start, because that's like super cheap in terms of the refined gold. In the long run, I think most of these rings will be pretty good at level 20, depending on if they're like the messenger and destruction is very good at even lower levels, because you just, with so much counter passive damage, it just buffs the entire lineup.
Yeah, it's just free. Yeah.
And most free to play that I work with, they just spread their resources too thin. So it's much better to get maybe 1 legendary ring that, in this case, if you're going to do Pike, get the messenger destruction, and then just get some epic or rare rings and try to max them out as soon as you can. Because like, even for me, getting like, this is a grind. I've had this 3 or 4 seasons whenever I got the messenger and destruction, and I just bumped it up from 30 to 45 over the last like 2 weeks.
Yeah. So it is
Free to play
hard.
will not be able to do it.
Yeah.
Well, you will not be able to do that. Don't shoot for above 30 if you're free to play.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. I like it, honestly. So guys, remember that. Take notes, because this is why I keep telling you guys to stop trying to chase everything, right? So with that, should we move on swiftly to the next formation, which is the one you questioned me about, I wanted to set up, and I thought, let you explain this, because most people will be like, what in the Frankenstein monster is that? Like, they can look at this, like, what is going on here? So, care to explain?
Sure. So, new heroes come out, and then you end up retiring these heroes that you've been playing with for a season or two, and they get a little dusty, and they want to, they want to be back in the limelight and get some action. So in KVKs, I do a lot of cleanup of enemy reinforcements. So I'm always looking for ways to stay out on the battlefield longer, and there's not too many people, when I kind of started this process, doing a specific support lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So one that I enter the battlefield with all 5 of my lineups. So having that 5th lineup actually help the other 4 either deal more damage or reduce their overall damage.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the first version that I ended up kind of using in a KVK, probably Stellar Season 5. So kind of a while ago. So Fred, his commander skill, rage cost is through the roof. So I don't recommend this for anybody normal. I tend to do crazy things. But pairing him with enough healing across the board, at this point, I think I had basically running metal and tenacity fortification, and tenacity fortification. So I think I might still have those skills on Bushra. So basically, the fortification is just bumping all their armor up.
Yeah.
And that just goes, that makes Fred just go through the roof with damage reduction and recovery.
Yeah, that's actually kind of crazy now you saying that like out loud, because you, how much, it's 100, is it, click on fortification, it's 100 and what 110 armor, yeah, so yeah, that's not even funny, dude. keep going, sorry, that's not even funny.
So it ends up having a lot of armor. I was on the testing server when we were testing out DD, and I was playing around with something like this, but I had like max like damage reduction rings, and I think the longest he would just stay out there for like 4 minutes, absorbing all this damage, and I could like have my other 4 lineups die and then come back, and he was still out there just like sucking it all up, like it was his job. So obviously, like, Fred takes such a long time to pop because his commander skill is 400. And even with like having a rage recovery ring, it doesn't really make much of a difference because it just takes so long.
Oh, it's so clever what you're doing there as well. I didn't even do you know what's so crazy? And everyone's going to probably laugh at this. Like, it's been such a long time that I completely forgot Barbarossa's commander skill. And the fact that you're reducing up to 5 nearby allies' might damage taken by 14% is kind of crazy when you think about it, for 12 seconds too. And if this just keeps going off, that is a lot of might damage reduction, because what people don't realize is, since you're reducing might damage taken specifically, that is a separate reduction. So if you have troop reduction by 20%, that's 2 separate reduction buffs, guys. So like, you're basically like stacking. You could have almost like 34% damage, but obviously 14% is tailored towards might. That's so wild. I'm not even lying. That's so clever too. Like, it's so wild. So, you know, obviously with this match, I saw you have a ram cam in there, right? Have you considered obviously using the newer hero like Otto? Because obviously he is increasing damage dealt, and he does inherently.
You're getting ahead of me.
Hmm?
You're getting ahead of me.
Oh, I'm getting ahead. Oh God, here we go. That's why we're here. This is why we're here. I was about to ask. It's like, so are you only using ram cab or are you using auto? So I'll take it away.
So the second version of this march,
Yeah.
put Ram in the front,
Mm-hmm.
Fred in the back. We got rid of her and put Leo.
Okay.
And I called this one the Exploding Leo lineup. So Leo's basically tuned to deal more damage the more he dies.
Yeah.
Then you still have massive reduction across Ram and Fred.
Makes sense.
And you're buffing your other troops.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like it. It's like almost like an off support, right? Because it's not fully tanking. It's kind of having someone out there with a good old little shiv and, you know, giving you a cheeky little stab in the in the back.
And
I like it.
I might have a report.
Ooh, that'd be kind of cool. There's a man, so one. Ooh, we saw some there. That's with Ramcam and Bushra. Oh, Jesus.
Thought I had one.
Oh, there we go.
So 59 seconds.
1,000 damage. I'm not even lying. I think that's one of the highest Leo damages I've ever seen. I'm not even kidding. That's ridiculous.
And that's with Ram.
That's nice.
Decent amount.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes he would go off, Leo would go off for like 100,000.
Yeah, that is crazy.
And I got the Ring of Boar, which I'm building up now, specifically for this Exploding Leo lineup. Because obviously I wasn't going to move stuff off of my Cyrus.
Yeah, because like when you look at that, it's like level 18 Sacred Sage, level 10 Ball, level 22. Is that Ring of the Lion? I think that's going to be.
No.
Oh, Falcon. Okay.
Falcon.
Yeah, it's just the image when it's it on my side. People know what I'm saying when they look at it. It looks like a little ring nipple. I'll be honest. Oh, and that's so crazy.
If nobody sees this, everyone knows we were planning these tests during DD. He wasn't just trying to attack me for the fun of it.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. So shout out to nobody for helping out doing the tests there. So then, obviously, I was getting ahead of myself. The third edition then of this march is with Otto. Okay. And this is what I've just unlocked myself. So I want to hear your thoughts on this because last episode we had someone obviously talk about QSH and his thoughts on QSH. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on QSH after, obviously with this auto match you've got running.
I love auto, and I think you made the recommendation of going War Elephant. For the last ED, I ended up going double Savage because we were going against some crazy people during the desert, and it was just I just needed to like get rid of armor because they were using Fred, and you know how Fred likes to just take armor and so kind of like my second or third goal for this season is to kind of get this. I might be able to get this close to 40 million power, and I still haven't gotten any of the new rings that came out. So there's maybe a couple that might work. And I can move some of the rings from Cyrus's lineup down into autos. If you were running kind of this combination, just know auto as commander will deal a lot more damage. If you use Ram as commander, it will buff your other troops faster because auto ends up kind of like scaling his buffs for the surrounding troops. They stack, whereas Rams kind of does stuff right from the beginning. But with this lineup, you have buffing the other troops from both of these two heroes, Ram and Otto.
Yeah, yeah. Makes sense.
Some of your previous guests didn't like this hero.
Yeah, some people they say he's okay, right? He's okay, but they wasn't fully sold on him. So what's your thoughts on him?
He is the best healer marshal that is out there, and damage reduction, and even experimenting putting Fred into this position, he does a better job.
Right. Okay.
So that's why I use him.
It is because of the damage immunity, right? Even though it's like 10% chance to hit, it's just like you get so much recovery, you get the damage immunity, you got Peaceful Haven, like, protracted battle to keep it going too. Like it is the pinnacle of kind of like not taking damage, right?
Right. And like we've had Peaceful Haven before, but
you need a 20 that. It's not even 40. You
not even.
What are we doing here? What are we doing here? We weren't even playing full optimal, guys. What is it?
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm lazy. I should retire.
Whale Insights. I've given you the insight of level 40 in your match. You can thank me later.
Oh my gosh. I found the mistake. Thank you, Sneakyy. I owe you one.
It's always happened.
I'll hit you one less time when we end up seeing each other for GEE or KVK.
You're going to hunt me down in the Apex Championship, you know? Oh, it's so funny though. I just noticed that. I was like, wait a minute, why is that 39?
And look how many skill points I have.
I know. I was like, what are we doing here? It's not like we're saving for something on a rainy day, are we? Oh, that was so good.
So as I was saying,
yeah, carry on.
We might have had Peaceful Haven before, but not with this like stack of might coming, and like recovery wise with a might bonus. Like it's just too good to pass up.
Yeah.
But if you're still in the season and you have an option between Ramcam and QSH, I recommend Ramcam if you're going to try to create a support lineup. Because with Otto and Ram, you have two heroes buffing the other troops. You can kind of make up the recovery that QSH gives you using Fred or Brushra. It won't last as long, but it'll still be good. And make sure, as we've discovered, you get your skills to level 40 before taking them out on the battlefield.
Yeah, you need to get that full effectiveness, guys. Otherwise, you're losing out on potentially the micro trades that could add up, right? Everything adds up, which is what people don't realize. It's the smallest things all the time that makes the big pile of mess that you got to go against. Really, let's be honest, right? That is what the matches are like now in Age of Empires Mobile. So with this match, is there anything you want to particularly say about it? Because I know we've talked a bit about it, we've joked a bit about it. From my point of view, I know, as you said, auto primary, if you want to be more DPS oriented. If you guys are wondering why Ramcam better in primary, it's because of what he said. Can get your skills going a bit faster, plus his commander skill too. His commander skill has the relaxation state, so you can also have that buff which goes onto troops as well, which is reduction, recovery, as well damage. So there's a lot of buffing with it, and kind of what he's saying with QSH is, I think he's true. I think he does insane amounts of healing and reduction. I've only just got it myself, and I can already see how much this hero just doesn't want to take any damage. So I like the fact that what you've done so far, Shadow, compared to, like, I think some of the other guests, is the fact that, like, with the formations, I think the guests will, well, the viewers will also agree with, is the fact that you've said, look, even if you don't go for this one hero, so if you don't go for QSH, guys, you know, you've said he's Bushra, you know, he's an alternative, he's Barbarossa, he's another alternative. And I think, like, so far, I think myself and everyone else appreciates already how much of the alternatives you're giving with the formations that you're providing. So is there anything else you want to talk about with the actual Marshall Pikeman properly on point, or do you want to keep moving on to the next thing?
Don't expect them to destroy anything fast.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I do a lot of like supply bounty challenges, and this will still win the challenge, but it takes up to like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, because you have so much damage reduction, and then you got these timed hits that come every 6 seconds, so it just takes a lot longer. The big bonus points for this lineup is what it can do for your other lineups out on the battlefield. And you mentioned, like, in the long run, once we start getting multiple lineups that we're taking to the battlefield, a support lineup like this will do wonders.
Mm-hmm.
But for a free-to-play player, that's not this season, probably not next season. It's probably like a season after that.
Yeah, it makes sense. And it is true, like, from just experience from other games that I've played, where you normally do tend to see people run 5 DPS marches, but then they figure out, well, if I could just run 4 insanely powerful DPS marches and then this 5th march that boosts them up to that next level, well, I'm beating the trades of the people that haven't got those same stats, right? And that's kind of how it works here at Age of Empires Mobile. It's very stat oriented, I think, the game. Like, if you have, honestly, so much of these micro stat, what should I say, like, not adjustments, but these micro stat advantages, there we go. It just adds up. Like, you could have small percentages from your skins, you can have small percentages from the rings that you've got, your gems that you've got, your mount that you've got, right? And it's all these little micro things that add up at the end of the day and make you either hit harder, survive better, or just have a bigger troop at the end of the day. So, do you want to talk about another formation, or should we move on to some advice for free-to-players, or it's up to you?
We can just briefly talk about lineup 3 and 4.
Yeah. Love it.
I do my moto a little bit different, and I recommend, especially lower spenders, you need more damage skills. I see a lot of players using Furious Charge. I have never used it, and I've been highly successful. As a free-to-play, you want him to deal more damage up front. And it will take you too long for Furious Charge to build up. High Spirit's good, even if you have Trib in the lineup for the extra activation, but Peerless has the highest damage output for customizable skill. And then the rest is pretty much standard. For the longest time, I was using Scorching Flame on my swords. So Moto would go off and then give a bunch of might to everybody else, which was great. Talking about Lubu, I ended up moving pretty standard Lubu. I used the Scorching Flame over here, kind of buff that lineup. I actually only started rebuilding Lubu last season, because right when, probably the season after Lubu came out, it was a very emotional and tough decision to retire him and break down all his parts. And that's when my pikemen took off, because I just took all those gems and resources and pushed it in.
Yeah.
Even whales and krakens can benefit from focusing into a top lineup. So when I first started rebuilding Lubu, he was only sitting around like 29, 30,000. So it makes a big difference focusing in on what I usually recommend 2 lineups, because you have to have 2 lineups for Wonder and Battle of Dawn.
Yeah. Yep.
And then jumping to the infamous,
the spice
mixed ram archer.
The spice. Go.
So I've always been an archer secondary, and that was the second tree I finished in the Merc research. And I tried with all of my might and time to make Theo work in this lineup as an archer, and she just wasn't healing enough, and there wasn't enough damage reduction.
Yeah.
So out of my pure frustration, when Elizabeth came out, I was like, let me see what happens. So then I started playing around, and I noticed, wow, this is some crazy shit.
Is it because Ramses is just doing so much damage? Elizabeth's like, yeah, here's the true spot.
So I don't remember the exact numbers. Like when I had Theo in the lineup, let's say this lineup had 120,000 in it. Doing the slot buy bounty, I would get down to like 40,000 left with Theo.
Okay.
Once I put Elizabeth in,
yeah,
I would end up with 80,000 left. Because if Ram pops, and this was like, if you end up trying this lineup, understand that the first 18 seconds or so are going to be hard for you.
Right. That's the
because
key.
Until Ram pops off, you're gonna lose a lot of your troops. And then Ram goes off, and Elizabeth's like, "Hey, let's put some of those troops back." And the damage, the healing that she does is absolute crazy. So
I like that you mention it, because the thing is, and people might find this crazy. I know, like what you're seeing, people might find it crazy. However, let me just pause all of you motherfuckers at the moment, right? Let's just be honest, because season 6 is around the corner, and people have already been testing Scipio with Ramses, and you're losing the warrior, but you're keeping the sword. So it's the exact same as Elizabeth, where she's keeping the tactical, but losing technically the unit trait, right? And Scipio with Ramses was hitting so hard, it seemed like it shouldn't have been working, but it were. So I already want to say, like, this is super interesting to me that Elizabeth is, like, enabling this to happen. Do you get what I mean? Like, it's so interesting.
And
nobody again. Shout to nobody.
So I don't use this configuration anymore. So Lofty Mountain on Charlemagne and Everflame Wings on Elizabeth. In a bigger battle, Elizabeth's hitting like 30 or 40,000 total healing. And this is against a fairly comparable Lubu. So I get a lot of pleasure going out on the battlefield and beating Lubus that aren't like totally max Krakens with an archer, because that doesn't happen often. And then they send me a message with some sad face emoji. And I say, I was just trying to give you a hug.
I was trying to give you some merits, but you weren't big enough. That's so crazy. I don't think there's ever been a history where an archer, even like a powerful archer, going, toe to toe with like an average Lubu. Normally, like, the average Lubu still just deletes the archer, like, in most cases. So to me, this is like mesmerizing. I'll be honest, like, I'm learning for myself, because I'm about to 5-star my Ramses. People don't know, but I'm almost there. We're getting there. I'm ready to 5-star Ramses for the archer purpose for next season. So if you're a swordsman, I'm sorry, I'm hunting you down. So with that though, love that. I think everyone's probably loved that. Should we talk about some free-to-play stuff, and then go into, as you wanted to talk about as well, like keeping the kingdom healthy, keeping the game healthy, because at the end of the day, free-to-players might watch this, they might watch myself, they watch other content creators and stuff, and they always probably feel like they need to keep chasing, as you kind of mentioned earlier on. So do you want to give some like advice and like tips and tricks just to like some of the free-to-play audience out there that would probably be watching the video right now?
Sure. Like, one of the things that we kind of talked about earlier was like do you want to be a collector of all these heroes, or do you want to be a fighter? In our earlier conversation, it was kind of like, should you get Vlad if you already have like a quality Boudica? You should unlock him, but he doesn't have to be in your lineup. Free to play, low spenders should take maybe 2 seasons or more, especially free to play. It should be like 3 seasons to build up a hero to be battle worthy. It's a extremely slow grind, and the game doesn't do a good job of making it easy to experiment. So like the second tip is like, you need to play around with your lineups more often, and find things that work for your level in terms of spending wise and research abilities. Like talking about Moto and using Peerless Strike for extra damage. A lot of free to play that I've worked with find that works better for them because they're dealing more damage right from the front, and then they get smashed afterwards. And Furious Charge doesn't have time to scale up and give you the buff that does. Another tip, since we have GEE, KVK, and we have DD, please read your cross-border battle reports and stop feeding the enemy points.
What do you mean by
just
that?
Because,
I was just saying, expand on that. For him.
Just because your battle was positive and you lost less troops and you destroyed more of their troops, that doesn't mean that point-wise you were net positive. So I see a lot of medium to low power players just repeating the same negative point battles over and over again. And that's how your kingdom loses these larger events. Because even if you only lose, let's say, 10,000 troops, if they're getting 10 million points and you're getting 1 million points, that's stupid.
And if people don't know what they're talking about, it's just like a lot of the time it's tier of units, ain't it? Like people are using the wrong kind of like tier of units, and they think because they're using, say, for example, T7, they're a medium spender, they go 10-1 on a trade against, say, like someone like yourself, right? But you were using T5 units, and your T5 has done so much more trades, so per point you get more points for it. It's like, it's crazy how some people can really take advantage of the points gained through fighting. So you are kind of spot on with that. Like, people need to really pay attention to their reports and the points too. It's not just one or the other. It's both, right? So what other kind of tips and tricks do you have with that? Because I think that's a really good one, what you've said there.
I mean, it's time consuming, but like every first battle you have with another player in a cross server battle, look at that battle report. Like if it's pretty much even or net positive for you, keep engaging and try to destroy them. Otherwise, pull back and hit somebody more along your same lines. Because even when I'll admit, I go out on Citadel hunting sprees every time and again. I'll read that first battle report to see if I'm going to be at a net positive before I totally start smashing them with all my troops again. And thinking about how many individual battles you have over the course of like a 2-day event, or in the case of DD, it's like 5 or 6 days, it's a week long. That stuff really adds up. And especially if you only have a certain amount of troops, you shouldn't be out trying to compete with these whales. You'll just get zeroed, and then you'll get frustrated and you'll leave the game. And that's not what we want. We need to find ways to engage these smaller players in these bigger battles.
True, 100% true. And kind of perfectly leading on, I think, to the next bit, I think, if you were to go into that, because we were talking about it a little bit before we started hitting the record, guys, about, keeping the game healthy, because especially like these types of tricks are really good for you, obviously played in game. But for example, a lot of people might feel like the game becomes a chore, right? And it becomes so much harder work to keep up with. I like the way that you kind of suggested earlier what you do here in Empire 37. So do you want to like go into that and talk about how like even as a free to play player they're able to kind of, I wouldn't say like take advantage of the empire they're in, but understand the situation they're in. I think is a better way of putting it.
Well, first, whether you're a free to play all the way up to Kraken, you need to find what makes you interested in the game. So back in like January, February is when I started like really helping other players kind of improve their lineups. Mm-hmm. And that's what got me invested into the game. If you're a free to play and you don't do a lot of one-on-one fighting, big battles, one of the things that we started doing was using those players as scouts. So they'll end up dropping into a server and 5 to 10 players will just send out all of their scouts looking for places for us to hit. So kind of finding ways to create value for these players that aren't going to be scoring all these points individually, but they can help you lead your kingdom to win the overall battle.
Yep. Like that. I like that.
Because they don't have the money or the resources to kind of take the jumps that you want them to take. So you have to kind of create new roles for them. And I don't know, I haven't talked to too many kingdoms about it, but these are the players that are like dropping the fastest, because somebody like me will come in, zero their citadel, and then they're done for they just leave the game. Mm-hmm. But the same happens in terms of these competitive players. It ends up becoming so time intensive that it feels like it's a job. So going into like the last 2 weeks of our previous Stellar season, I had kind of told the kingdom that I needed to take those 2 weeks so to be a little lighter. We had some server reorganization, and unfortunately I couldn't take that time. So I ended up playing more. Mm-hmm. And the first 2 weeks of this Stellar season, I took a vacation in a much smaller Alliance shell. And it has been refreshing and reinvigorating of my passion of the game. Because you kind of get away from some of like, the super active stuff and a little bit of the noise, and you can kind of refocus on, like I've been doing a little bit more testing in these last 2 weeks and doing a little bit more helping of other players. And it has prepared me to like come back into the limelight full of energy and ready to destroy things. And I think more players need to do that. I don't know about other servers, but look, I've had friends on my friend list that haven't logged in, and now they're just power players in other servers. Mm-hmm. Power players in our server that kind of have to step away for a moment. And sometimes if you haven't created a system on your server to kind of allow that flex of life, those players don't return to the game, and that's sad.
Yeah, I get what I like what you said, and I think I agree with you, because it is one of them things where it does become hard, I think, for anyone, like even probably listening into all that, like agreeing with you, where, let's just argument say it, you're waking up for the day, you send out your troops, they're going to do their tribes, then they come back, you send them out to do the gathering, then you're checking the alliance to see if you've got this event on, or this event on, or this event on, and then if you have, what do you need to do to prepare for that said event? And then you're going into checking up for Mightiest Empire, and then it's the next one, mm-hmm. and then it's the next thing, and it does become, like you say, like, so, I wouldn't say like consuming, but it does become like a lot of weight on the player. And the fact that like you can just go to I wouldn't say like a holiday, but it is, right? It's like kind of like a holiday alliance where you can just go there and just take things at your own pace for a bit and just be like, you know what? I don't need to do all of this all the time. I'm just going to log in when I need to log in. I'm going to test some things out. I'm going to focus on this one formation. You know, I'm not going to go into the fights because at the end of the day, if I keep fighting every single time, especially if I'm maybe a lower spender in the game, like you said, I'm not going to have the troops. I'm not going to have the ability to keep fighting because I'm just going to be burnt out from fighting 24/7. So I really like what you said, because I think everyone needs to learn to do that. I think it's one of the hardest things in these games to do. Like, people don't realize, you know, I'm a content creator, right? But if you guys ever never noticed, I don't really try to post on the weekends, and that is for the same reason. You know what I mean? Like, the same reason is I don't want to burn myself out. I don't want to post every video every single day, because it does become time consuming, and it does become, you know, like a big, like, I wouldn't say frustration, but it does burn you out, and you don't want to be burnt out, especially when you enjoy something that, you know, you really have the passion for. So I see it from my point of view as a content creator, and I think a lot of people see what you say and agree with what you're saying from a gameplay, you know, kind of perspective on there. So have you got anything else you want to like add on? Because I think so far it's been really good. I think everyone's probably going to really enjoy today's episode so far.
One of the things that we're trying for this KVK is a giant merge into one of the power alliances. Yep. So I'm going to stay where I am because I'm still in the spa and on holiday, still going to battle, but kind of creating a little bit different player experiences in different alliances, and then coming together as a server for big events like KVK and DD, where you need all your power kind of centralized in one alliance. And that allows for like the little bit of a flex, because preferably you have one alliance that's the most competitive and everything else is a little bit more relaxed. Maybe there's tiers of experiences. A second thing that we haven't kind of implemented yet is maybe you need to create like hive guardians, because there's, in these cross server events, there's always some enemies that come into your hive and start attacking these weaker players. So why not designate somebody to kind of stand guard the whole time? Because I've attacked hives that were unguarded, and our hives have been attacked. And that's a frustrating thing for the lower players, because if they don't have any troops left, they retire. And there's a lot of points available in cross server reports for reinforcing citadels. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
For everyone out there, if you didn't know. So we're kind of coming up to the, I would say, like, Ed, because we've been talking for an hour, which is crazy. I think we could keep going. But I do want to ask one thing. Obviously, we haven't, you don't have to answer if you don't want to, because obviously it wasn't something that I sent towards you. But I've noticed it on screen. I think many people have been noticing it on screen. And it's obviously King Arthur. Obviously, you don't have to click on it, because I've been on it, and we've got a video out. You can check on the channel a long time ago with good old Galapago, or as many people might know him in Empire 27 now, I think Memento Mori. Big shout out to him. What's your thoughts on King Arthur before we kind of, like, I think, close out on today's, you know, video? Because I think hearing maybe just an opinion on King Arthur, if you think he's good or bad, or if you think a hero should be worth stupid amounts of dollars or not, like, what's your take on it? Because I think this is one thing I'm going to be asking a few of the next couple of guests too that I've got on in similar positions as yourself.
Way too expensive. I'll say this: I'm not currently using him. I only unlocked him at the end of last Stellar season.
Wow. Okay, so he's technically kind of new then. Like,
he's kind of new. He's not battle ready yet.
So for you, then, are you gonna go for that then? That's an interesting thing, because I think a lot of people who have King Arthur obviously got it from the start, right? But you're
right in
a different predicament, right? You're only just getting there, and there could be a lot of other Krakens in your same position, right? Do you think, like, is it just too late, or do you think you could still go for him if you wanted to go for him, that is?
Well, I have started prepping a second set of swordman armor
Okay.
for hopeful use of a second sword troop, maybe by the end of this stellar season. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, you don't have to say anymore. That's fine. That's fine. Because the thing is, I know many people are getting quite excited for him now, only because of the season 6 heroes, right? Scipio's looking kind of crazy with him, especially with Lagertha and all of the juice. Do you want to talk about any of the season 6 heroes before we close up, or not? Because obviously we could keep going if you want to.
I mean, I'm probably going to get all of them like I normally do. I haven't done a true deep dive on all of them quite yet. I know I'm a little bit more excited to be able to experiment with more tactician cavalry.
Okay, so William and DJ,
and seeing what I can do, because I have Hannibal and what's his face, Belisarius, that I'm currently not using. Belisarius is almost 5 stars, but he's kind of just sitting collecting dust now. So finding a way to kind of put him in the limelight for the next hero cycle, I think, is going to be one of my bigger goals. Because I mean, I don't think I may not use Belisarius as a Pike, because there was a crossover event like a month ago. I was running 3 Pike troops, and that was a little bit crazy. So to create a 4th one, I don't think I need to do that quite yet.
Right. No, that's fair. No, that's understandable. That's cool. Honestly, I like that, and I think that's a kind of perfect way to end things on. Honestly, it's been super fun here, Shadow, having you on, speaking about all the formations.
Yeah, thanks again.
Even talking about, even talking about the, what you call it, the mental side of things, which I don't think anyone else on any of these Whale Insights has actually brought up, the mental aspect of playing one of these games, and just taking it slower and not having to, feel like this is a job and feel like it's a chore. And if it starts to feel like that, take a little break from the game, like, and go to a second alliance or a third alliance and just cool off for a little bit. I think it's been a really good one. I think a lot of people will appreciate you for coming on, man. So for myself, I want to say thank you straight away, dude, for today's episode.
Yeah, thank you. We should do it again.
Yeah. And anytime, I think everyone will agree, especially maybe in the next season, because I've got, as people know, I've been mentioning, and if you're watching this, you'll know yourselves now. Season 1, which is what everyone's watching right now, of Whale Insight, is all whales and krakens, big spenders who've been playing the game. Season 2, I'm hoping to get more of a free-to-play side, so it's more free-to-play as a low spenders. So at least season 1, we have one end of the spectrum, and season 2 we have the second end of the spectrum. But season 3 is the Merit Boys, and we can see you already had 185 million Merititos on the good old account there, so we know you definitely could be coming on for the Merit episodes in the future, and maybe giving some wisdom on how to get some good old merits, eh? I think that'd be a really good season, and I think people will be enjoying that. So yeah, man, anytime you want to come on, let us know, and we'll figure out something.
Sounds good.
Right. So with that, that's going to be, guys, technically the end of the Whale Insights episode. So if you have enjoyed it, you know what to do. Smash that comment and subscribe. Check out down in the good old description down below for the Eneba link. If you do purchase any Apex Empire coins, it supports me directly. And with that, you know what we say here. Stay safe, guys. Stay sneaky. Peace out.